Hey guys, so nice to have you back. This is Sunday Stretch Sesh with Sam. Today and probably for the next month or so, we're going to be working on stretches to get our splits down. And if you are ready to go, you have worked out, you're warm, and you have a spot and you're ready to go, perfect. You can stretch along with me. If you are not ready to go, hey, that's okay. We're going to have this up on YouTube and Twitch and maybe some other places. Jackie will definitely let us know where. If you have comments, go ahead and just comment them on the video or questions or whatever. I have my laptop over here in the corner, and so I can see them and I can respond to you in real time. If you are warm, don't go throwing on the ceiling fan. Don't go taking off layers because you want your muscles warm so we can stretch well. If you're cold, you don't get nearly as good of a stretch. I have some equipment that I want to use today. Yoga blocks. If you don't have yoga blocks, you can use pillows. You can use chairs, like your kitchen chairs. In fact, if you're very far from the ground, I suggest using some kitchen chairs because then it'll be a little bit easier to balance on there higher up. Or you can stack multiple yoga blocks on top of each other. Those are awesome. I probably won't use this, but I will let you know ways that you can use it if you need to. This is a yoga strap. And it has my nice little D-rings on the end here. So you can use this. And then something I will be using later on is a resistance band. This one is, I think, 20 to 35 pounds of pressure. I'm not really sure. Something like that. It's pretty strong, and I will be using this later. So those are the most important things that you need. If your body is warm and ready, let's get down to it. So the first thing we are going to do is we have to warm up all the muscles in our legs before we can do our splits. We're going to warm up stuff for our front splits first, to your left and right leg forward. And then after we do all of that, we are going to move on and do our straddle splits, our center splits, our middle splits, whatever you'd like to call it. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to work on a forward fold. If you are so far from the ground, this is where you use either a yoga block or you can use a strap. And if you're really far from the ground, you can sit in a pike, wrap your strap around your feet like this, and pull yourself to it with a flat back. Otherwise, if you have a little bit of flexibility or some yoga blocks, then we're going to get started with this. I'm going to set a timer. Most things we're going to do are going to be 1 to 2 minutes, and it's going to be a little bit of a mix between active and passive flexibility. So working on using our body to do things and our own muscles to do things versus letting the floor or the wall help us. So let me pull my timer up. So we're going to start with a minute timer, and we're going to start with squats and straightening our legs. So start standing in a pike with your feet together. I'm going to stand this way so you guys can see. And we are just going to go hands on the ground, or if you can't quite touch the ground, you can grab a yoga block and just bend, trying to keep your feet flat on the ground. If you can go all the way down, cool. If not, just straighten, trying to keep your hands or your fingertips on the ground. And just do this slowly, whatever feels good for your body. And this is going to start warming up our calves and our hamstrings. If you like to do yoga, you can just big breaths in, big breaths out. If it's getting easier to touch the ground, then try keeping your face next to your knees and pulling yourself in like that. Alrighty, and now we are going to change and we're going to do halfway lifts and forward folds. So you embrace your hands here, wherever you need to, get your back really flat. And then release down as low as you can go. If you can't, you can brace yourself on your shins, or if you need to, you can grab a yoga block and brace yourself, or if you're pretty flexible, brace your hands on the floor with a flat back and relax. We're really just trying to keep those muscles warm. trying to get everything ready to go because there's so many muscles involved in stretching your splits. Alrighty, and now we're done with that. And we are going to, I have a timer on my computer, so don't worry. I'm timing a minute every time, or 2 minutes. I'll let you know how long it is. So now we are going to go on to a calf stretch. We all know the typical calf stretch. You can brace your foot like this and lean back. Or if you have a wall, you can do it against a wall. A little bit harder one that I found comes from somebody named Intrinic, question mark. I found them and I found him and his stuff on Reddit. And he has a great flexibility, like pancake splits tutorial. So that's where you can go check things out. Now we are going to do, I am going to do the intense version, which is going to be like a forward fold like we just did, but my foot is propped up on this yoga block. And I'm just going to bend and straighten my back leg to get myself closer to it. We're going to do this for a minute on each foot. I'm going to turn this way. Let's go ahead and go. So I really think lots of you had things to say about wanting to be more flexible to do tricks, like in guard and dance and baton twirling. And that's super cool. And this is going to get you part of the way there. But you guys really need some active flexibility. So it's one thing to be able to just sit on the floor and do your splits at the beginning of a show and hold it. It's another thing to go do your illusion turns with full splits. It's another thing to be able to do a full 180 split leap, or do a toe touch. I saw that in there. You guys really need to be strong for that. And you guys need lots of active flexibility. Alrighty, let's go ahead and switch the other foot now. So active flexibility comes from being strong, as well as being flexible. So I posted a picture on my Insta about, it was me mid-air with my legs split. And that was a split leap, and that requires active flexibility. So muscles got to be really strong. So if you're just stretching, that's great, but you also need to be working out, making sure all of those muscles are strong enough to do the things that you want them to do. And you need to be working active flexibility drills on top of it. And we're going to do some active flexibility in this and some static, which is passive. So just us working against the ground or gravity. Alrighty, and we're coming to the end right here on this. Good job on both of your calves. I like to start on my bad foot first, just to get it out of the way. There's a lot of focus on like bad foot versus good foot in gymnastics, or your favorite foot versus your not favorite foot. I always like to start on my bad side just to get it out of the way so I don't have to do it again. And then I can finish with my good side, which makes me feel good about myself. So I'm just going to check. No comments. Perfect. Alrighty, the next thing we are going to do is we're going to do a little bit of stuff to open our hips. We're gonna do one of these stretches again when we get to our center splits, but I really like to do it before both of them. So we're going to do, we're gonna start with, I don't really know what you want to call this. I've heard it called horse stance. But also my quads are not quite full enough to do a full horse stance. So we're just going to hop up here, squat, and you can hold yourself. If you're strong enough to not hold yourself, you can hold here. But I'm going to hold here because I just did a workout and my quads are not happy with me. So we're going to do this for a minute. Do whatever feels good here. You can shift from side to side. You can bounce a little bit. But really just try to sink your hips into it and keep those hands or your elbows pressing your knees backwards because we're trying to open our hips as wide as they'll go. And I'm just going to rock from side to side. You can press one shoulder in. There's a little bit of a shoulder stretch, and it really pushes that outer or that inner hip outwards. And if you really like to stretch, feel free to do it again for another minute. I'm not stopping you. Awesome. Now we're going to get into a little bit of active flexibility. I know that was only a minute. It doesn't feel like any time at all. So we're going to do some standing splits. So what you're going to do is, I'm going to tell you before we do it, you're going to put a foot on the ground. Make sure you're not going to kick anything. I might kick my couch. Lift your foot up. And then our standing leg, we're going to bend and straighten. And what we're trying to do when we do this is warm up our hamstrings, those big long muscles in the back of our thigh that lead up to our glutes. But also I like to use this a little bit to give me some pulses so I can really try to stretch and get some active flexibility out of this. So we're going to do that for a minute on each leg. If you are having trouble balancing with your hands right here, feel free to walk them out. You're almost in like a downward dog and go from there because you can still do everything from there. And then start trying to walk your hands back inwards because it's really good for you. So, quick drink of water. Alrighty. And I'm going to turn this way so I don't kick my couch because it's right here. Alrighty. And let's do one leg. And just bend and straighten on your own time here. If you can hear a gremlin in the background, that's Jelly Bean. He likes to yell. It's also why there's a pile of blankets on the couch behind me. That's his pile of blankets. And he likes to make biscuits and suck on them. So he's pretty nasty. I do have one question for you guys. Well, a question one of you guys asked me that I'm going to share with you in just a minute. I really hope your quads are burning, your hamstrings are burning. I know mine are. And alrighty, come down. Let's switch and do the other leg. Why are you so weird, bud? Alrighty, the other leg. And right here is another place where you can kind of treat this as a forward fold and try to get your nose to your knee. I don't focus a ton on keeping my hips square here. Maybe I should, but really what I am focusing on is opening up, getting things warm through our hamstrings, which is number one what this is about, but also trying to open up my hips and just kind of reach that full potential. I focus more on keeping my hips square, which just means like both of my hip bones facing the same direction. If you're not getting tired by now, I don't know what to tell you because I am exhausted. Ugh. Just try to keep your top knee tight. Alrighty, we're done. Let's go ahead and take a minute break. Give yourself a second. Deep breaths. We're going to move on to some hip flexor stuff next. I fell down a rabbit hole this morning. I sometimes read stuff on PubMed because I used to work in a lab and we did a lot of stuff from PubMed papers. But one of you guys asked me, are women more flexible than men naturally? And at first I was like, no, like it really, really isn't a thing, I'm sure. But then I Googled it because I didn't know. And I fell down a rabbit hole of scientific journals. And I think I have an answer, but take it with a grain of salt because that is not my field of expertise. And I will tell you guys as soon as we get into our next stretch. So, our next stretch is something to do with the hip flexors. I have some options for you, and these are in varying levels of difficulty. I'm going to pick a more difficult one because that's what I need to do for myself. You guys feel free to pick whichever one you want. So the first one is like some cat and cow lunges. So if you've ever done yoga, you know cats and cows are like here and here. You can do the same thing in lunges by putting a foot forward and then tucking your back foot to pull that knee off the ground and reaching that chest up over it and then contracting and trying to straighten that leg and working through everything in your hips there. That's one option. Option number 2 is holding a low lunge, pressing those hips down to the ground as low as you can get them, and then reaching around for a foot bind. See, this is the nasty boy that's been screaming. He's a big boy. I'll go there. And reaching around for a foot bind. See, look, he's being nasty. So weird. Cats are so weird. Reaching around for a foot bind, you can either grab with one hand, brace your other hand, or reach around for both hands while still trying to press those hips to the ground. That's a pretty good one. If that is not intense enough for you, which I know some of you guys won't be, so especially because I had questions about oversplits, this one's for you guys. You can find a wall or something, get into that same low lunge, but press your leg up against it. So you can do this. If this is really easy, and goodness, and you want to make this even more intense, not right now, but later, you can also take and slide out into the splits from here, and then with this leg propped up behind you like this. You can see that. That is a really intense form of oversplits. So I'm going to be doing this because sitting up tall works some of my quad, and when I press forward, it really gets my hip flexors. So we're going to do that. I'm going to switch legs because that knee hurts. By the way, if you're on a hardwood floor or linoleum or whatever, grab a towel, grab some knee pads, grab a yoga mat. Don't kill your muscles on this. Not worth it. Things hurt. Get something soft. Alrighty. So figure out which one of those hip flexor exercises you want to do. We're going to hold it for a minute each side. So get ready and go. One of these days, I'm going to figure out how to put things on a screen. And this is a place where I really like to use my yoga blocks to make sure I can sit up as tall as I can. Get my shoulders over my hips. I like to call this being stacked. So I can be really tall. I'm still pushing backwards towards that back leg, but also I'm pressing my hips down. And sometimes if I just feel kind of creaky sitting here, I like to pulse up and down while I do it. It feels kind of funny, but it's really making me work through all of those muscles. I'm out of breath, you guys. When we move to the next stretch, I will tell you what I discovered about men's and women's flexibility. We have 10 seconds left. Hold it. Make sure that leg is pointing straight up. Don't let it tilt to one side or the other. And down. Good job, friends. Alrighty, so next leg ready. And go. I learned that yes, there are some differences between men and women. Part of it has to do with connective tissue, because like women having babies and stuff, their tummy's gotta stretch to have a whole lot of baby in it. And That means like women's connective tissue is a little bit more flexible. It's arranged in different patterns just so their body can stretch and do what it needs to do in order to hold babies, and probably some other stuff down the evolutionary line that's just left over from who knows what. But men don't have that. So does that make women more flexible? Slightly, yes. But part of it is women are perceived as more flexible than men they because they do things that are more flexible. They do stuff like this. They stretch, they do yoga, they do all sorts of performing arts like color guard and down. And men just stereotypically don't do that stuff as much. So that's a really big reason why women are seen as more flexible than men. Yes, we have a little bit of like an evolutionary advantage, but if you work hard, it's going to outweigh somebody else anyway. So, because some people are just naturally more flexible than others. You just got to work hard at it. Alrighty, friends, it just came to what you've all been waiting for. We're going to hold our splits for 2 minutes. And you're like, Sam, why 2 minutes? That's a ridiculous amount of time. I can't do that. Well, this is where you grab your chair or your yoga blocks or your couches or whatever. We're going to do it for 2 minutes because you really need to stay in a stretch long enough for your muscles to relax. If you come out of that stretch, your muscles contract and they have not relaxed enough to give you that extra little bit of flexibility. So we're going to stay in it for 2 minutes because after about 30 seconds to a minute, you should feel your hips start to release. Relax into the stretch, squeeze your butt cheeks real tight because we want to make sure that we're still holding ourselves up. But try to stay in it. It sucks. You can do it. I am going to stay in it all the way on my bad side first. And then when I get to my good side, I'm going to do a minute just holding it and a minute stretching my oversplit. So I'm just going to put my foot on a yoga block because you just got to learn how to relax into it. So let me check messages, see if anybody's giving me any comments. Nope, no comments. Alrighty, friends. So I'm going to reset this. We're going to do 2 minutes. Alrighty, get ready. I am going to use these on my left side to help me hold myself up because I keep pushing myself too hard and then I end up with little muscle tears and then I'm set back a couple of months while I'm waiting for those to heal. So be gentle on your body. Nothing should hurt. It should just feel like a pull. So if it's hurting and you're in pain, get out of it. Don't do that. Listen to your body. It is never a good thing to be in pain, okay? Unless you're going in for like a deep tissue massage or something, maybe then is fine. So, alrighty, get ready, and let's slide down into those first splits. Make sure that front leg is straight. So if this is as far as you can go, cool. Make sure that front leg is straight though. And your back foot is flat on the ground. Make sure that knee is turned under and slide out as far as you can go. Whenever we do this, if you can turn around or if you have mirrors, look and make sure your knee is completely to the ground and your leg is straight. If your knee is turning out any, and I can see even the side of your kneecap, then you are not square and you need to lift yourself up, back up a couple of inches, reposition that back leg, and then lower yourself down. So we're about 40 seconds in, and my hips just released a little bit more, and I sank into it a little bit deeper. And if I really want to push it, I can get to the ground and knees, but I've been stretching a lot the last couple of days. I don't really want to do that. So just hold it and breathe. It's very good for you. Make sure you're sitting up nice and tall. If you're already down in one or both splits and you do this, that's not putting any weight over your hips. That's not forcing you all the way to the ground. So hold tall, hold tight. We only have about 45 seconds left. You guys are doing great. And breathe, 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 breathe. I'm sinking into it just a little bit more. You can kind of feel your muscles release after a second. So just try to keep yourself centered. I find myself pressing to one side because it takes some weight off. Shift your yoga blocks, grab your chair, come up a couple inches if you need to. But make sure you keep that foot pointed really hard. If you don't care about pointing your toes, then don't do it, I guess. I don't know. And come down. I like to pull back up so I can relax that back hip a little bit. And then I'm going to sit in a child's pose for just a second because my hips hurt. And don't worry, we're going to do some counter stretches after this. But oh, goodness. Alrighty. And get ready. I am going to put my yoga block up there. Make sure that your heel is on it if you want to do your over splits. If you just do this and you put your toes on it, yeah, sure, I guess. But you're not really doing anything and you're keeping yourself from pointing. So make sure your heel is up there and you're pointing your foot so that you can really reach. Alrighty. Check one more time. Perfect. Alrighty, friends, and hop into those splits. Start from that lunge position, straight front leg, and slide out as far as you can. And I'm all the way down here. This is pretty comfy for me. I feel a little bit of a pull in my back leg. So, but sit up nice and tall. I can't see any my back knee. My leg is completely straight. I'm sorry, your view of the screen is cut off. I swear I have a tripod on the way, so things will be better in the future. If you really feel like you can't get down anymore, like I've still got a little bit of space between this thigh and the ground. You don't want to like lean over and sit on your butt cheek because then you're turning out and that doesn't look good. And it's not a true split. You want to sit up tall. I've heard that you can hold a weight and it will force you down a little bit lower. So that's cool. I haven't done it. I don't have any weights at my house. So got to try it some other time. If you want to stretch your over splits for a minute with me, get your yoga block out. Lift up, put that heel on top and lower down. Pull this over here so you can see. And I can do my over splits with one yoga block. I probably need to start working on more yoga blocks, but I don't really want to right now. I just want to get my splits on my other side. So keep breathing, keep relaxing into it. I like to pulse just a little bit. Jelly bean, that is not your plant. Get down. Sorry, throwing straps at cats because he wants to eat my tree. He's not allowed to eat my tree. It's not for you. Alrighty, try to hold it at your lowest point for the last 10 seconds. You can do it. We're almost there. 3, 2, 1, and down. And pull back, and you can curl into a ball and cry now if you want. Because I know that stretching gives people lots of emotions. You'll have to excuse me for 1 second. Say hello to the gremlin who wants to eat all of my plants and then puke them up all over the carpet, don't you? Take a second, enjoy this big old cat while you let your muscles relax. Jelly bean, say hi to the people. What do you think? You think you want to eat my plant, don't you? You're also saying, Sam, you're just procrastinating so you don't have to stretch your straddle and show the viewers how not good it is. Well, you know, it's exactly what I'm trying to do. Okay, get out of here. Go, 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 upstairs, go. Go away, go away, go away. Alrighty. Straddle splits time. These are my least favorite. Oh, somebody said bottle of water, canned food makes great weights in a pinch. You're absolutely correct. I have like a gallon bottle of vinegar that I use sometimes as weights. Those are good. If you want bigger weights, like I have been deadlifting a lot, they don't work quite as well unless you just have 40-pound cans of food. But if you need little weights, those are really, really good things to use. Or candles. I have a lot of candles, and they're very heavy. So yes, those are great things. Yes, that's Jelly Bean. Pickle is around somewhere. He's just not nearly as annoying and doesn't try to eat my plants. So, alrighty, let's go on to. We are going to. This came straight from Untrinik. I think he's Russian. I'm not sure, but this is something he does. and they're called frog rocks. So we all know frog pose, right? Where you are like this, and you should have your, I normally, if you're gonna stretch this static, I keep my hips in line with my knees and my knees in line with my feet. So my legs are parallel to each other. But we're rocking back and forth, so that doesn't matter nearly as much. So what we're gonna do is, first of all, put towels or something under your knees if you need to. You can use yoga blocks if you want to. If your body wants to sink into it a little bit further, but it's kind of painful for you, you can grab a pillow or a block or something and put it underneath your crotch so that you don't sink down quite as far. Those are all really great things to do. And I guess I should have mentioned this before, you could also do that with your splits if you're just really high up and just stick a yoga block like right here so that you're kind of sitting on it. That's always a good thing to do too. But we're gonna do our frog rocks. So I'm gonna keep everything in line right here. I'm so sorry you guys can't see my knees. And for 3 minutes, we're gonna do 3 minutes total, 1 minute just rocking back and forth, and then 1 minute for each leg. We're gonna stick one leg out to the side like this. And as we come back, we're gonna flex that foot. And as we come forward, we're going to point that foot, and we're going to rock back and forth like that for a minute, and then switch and do that for another minute, no breaks in between. So let me reset my timer. I think I'm gonna figure out technology maybe if I ever have time, and see if I can put a timer on the screen. Maybe Jackie can help me with that. And yeah, don't worry, this is not gonna be going on for much longer. We're gonna do this for 3 minutes, and then we're gonna do a minute of this, and then we're gonna do 2 minutes of straddle stretch, and then we're all done, guys. I've just been talking a whole lot, so. Alrighty, get ready in that frog stretch and just rock back and forth. Try to sink your hips into it if you can. I'm really not sure if there would be a better angle so you can see what my legs are doing. If this is too hard, you can always go up onto your hands and rock back and forth. I like to stay on my elbows. Also, I have this really cool bruise. I don't know if you can see it, but it's like right there in my armpit. So somebody drop a comment, try to guess how I managed to get that bruise. I have an idea, but I still don't know if that's right or not. And remember, I'm a gymnastics coach, so all kinds of wild things happen. You should really be feeling this in your hip area because that's all it's working. We should be getting warm. And get ready to stick one foot out and one foot out to the side. Try to keep that leg in line with your hip. And if you can sit all the way back on your heels, do it. Like I can, but then I have to move my hands a bunch to get myself up. And I don't want to do that. You guys are doing really good. You've made it this far, or you're just watching from the comfort of your bed. And I totally respect that too. You know, new year, new you. Do what you got to do. I'm not here to judge. I'm just here to help. Alrighty, we're almost there on this side. And go ahead, tuck that knee back in and get set with the other one on the other side. And start rocks. See, on this side, I can actually sink back and get forward a little bit more. And I don't know if it's because I'm stronger. I don't really know which side is pulling the majority of the weight. I don't really know. I hope you guys have been enjoying the weather. I don't know about you, but mid-Missouri has gotten a ton of freezing rain and snow and ice, and I'm over it. Really not a fan. I have to come up a little bit because I'm sinking far enough. I can't get back out of it. And 10 more seconds. And 3, 2, 1, and come on out of it. You got it. That was hard. I am tired from that. But also shout out to Donna Daughtry from YouTube for telling us little hacks with your bottles of water and your canned food. She also says a gallon of water is approximately 8 pounds. So that's super cool. And then Carlos from Twitch is very excited about that cat. Yeah, jelly bean's pretty cool sometimes. Alrighty, now we're going to do just 1 minute of our horse stance. How Antronic is, am I saying that right? Antronic, maybe? Wants you to do it is actually keep your feet in parallel and have your hands like at prayer center and not put your elbows on your legs. I am not strong enough for that yet. I'm way more flexible than my quads are strong. So I am going to have to probably use my elbows to support me some. And that is spelled, excuse me, Antrannik. And I'll drop that in the description or somewhere because he obviously knows so much more than I do. Alrighty, so let's reset. We're going to do just a minute of this. And this is what we did before here. To get into it, he says toes out, heels out, toes out, squat, and then heels out to try to keep your feet in parallel. That makes my knees go in, and I have very weak knees. So I don't like doing that. I like to stay turned out because then I get a little bit of more support. But whatever floats your boat. So going here, and I'm not going to be able to hold this for a full minute because I'm just not strong enough for that yet. So hold, do the best you can. Try to keep your thighs flat. Yeah, see, I'm right here and I'm stuck here now. But trying to press those outer hips open, pull tight, maybe work those feet out if you can. I'm sure there's some method to keeping your feet out. I mean, there is. Like, if you think about it, when you do a straddle split, you are definitely like knees forward, toes are out, and your knees are tracking inwards a little bit. I'm just not strong enough. And I'm definitely not strong enough to go from like standing inside into a straddle. Not there yet. That's just not quite accessible for me yet. So whatever, if it is for you, totally do it. I support you. And 3, 2, 1, and come out. Okay. Last thing we're going to do, friends, is going to be 2 minutes. This is where I like to use my resistance band. If you just really can't get anything out of sitting in your straddle and trying to pull yourself forward, you can always find a wall or your couch or something and sit like this, butt right against it here, and then try to pull your legs down. This is great if you have ankle weights because then you have that little bit of weight pulling your legs down. I don't have that luxury, but what I do have is a resistance band. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hook this on one foot, wrap it around behind me, and then hook it on the other foot while my legs are straight out. And then I'm going to try to reach forward with a flat back as low as I can go. Because really, I saw some pictures and stuff, some examples. But if you're not doing it with a flat back, you're really not getting any further down than you would be flat back. So, alrighty, get ready. This is a whole contraption to get it to. Okay. Alrighty. And I'm going to start this 2-minute timer now. Hop into it. I like to pull this down on my butt cheeks so I can really lean forward. And then I have this in my feet so I can still, I'm so sorry guys, I'm so out of breath. So I can still lean forward. And because if I lean forward and it's on my back, it's just gonna like go up my shoulders and then I'm gonna be trapped downwards. But if you put it kind of like towards the edge of your butt cheeks, then it won't slip under you. And also it won't slip over your back. So I'm right here. I can be here with my back completely flat. I should turn the other way so you can see, but I would definitely have my foot on the couch. So I'm right here and I'm going to try to hold this. I have a yoga block for me to lean on while I'm still engaging my back, and I'm almost arching. I'm trying to hold it so flat. And then I feel like I can go a little bit more. So I'm going to scooch out, pull those feet back, and try to get into it a little bit deeper. I did find a website that does like protractor stickers, and I can get one that's like 3 feet by 3 feet, which I think would be super cool to put on my wall, because then I can do like my splits against it and see how big my straddle's getting. And this is definitely some more like passive flexibility, especially since I have the resistance band pulling against me. But center splits, excuse me, center splits are hard, y'all. Kudos to anybody who can do them. I have students that can just like, no problem, pop them out, and I'm like, so jealous of you guys. For their last 15 seconds, I know my back is rounded. I'm going to try to go as low as I can. And 3, 2, 1, and come out of it. Okay, this is a whole mess to get out of. So what I like to do is I like to slip it under my butt and then lift up, and then my feet, it'll slip out from under me, and my feet will come together, and that's probably the easiest way getting out of it. Thank you all so very much for joining me today. If you need a quick counter stretch because your inner hips hate you, flex those feet. You're in a bent leg straddle. You can either tap those knees in and out, which I think feels really, really good, or you can just put your knees together and kind of press them down. And that is just stretching the muscles in the opposite direction and bringing you some much needed relief after you just did all of that to your flexors. So yeah, thanks so much for joining me, guys. I will be back next Sunday with some more splits, some new stretches, some different ways of doing things. There will be some repeats because there's only so many things you can do. But yeah, I hope this inspired you guys. And if you want to get better, remember, you got to stretch every day, even if it's just little things. So thanks so much for being here. If you didn't catch this live or you're just catching the tail end of it, you can catch it over on YouTube. You can find it on Twitch. There will be links to it literally everywhere. So yeah, and also we have a Discord for our enthusiasts. So find that too. Thanks so much for being here, guys. I am so happy to be back and helping y'all out. So great. And I will see you all later. Bye.